our lead topic today.
Oh, wow. This is a wrestling podcast. I forgot.
This is a wrestling podcast for the most part, but we get into all kinds of weird stuff, which we will be getting into later.
Weird.
Yeah, weird. So All In, we got some updates. So far, there's really no...
What updates do we have?
There's no matches announced per AEW, but Sean Ross Sapp was able to do his due diligence to try to dig up a rumored match. And this is something that's been kind of getting tossed out there for the last couple of weeks, but Sean actually put his name on the rumor, and it's Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay, rumored for All In, man. What do you think about that?
I think we heard about this a couple of weeks ago, and I'm glad that it's finally caught wind so we can finally talk about this. I have a controversial take. I'm okay with it. I think it's fine.
Yeah. So I've seen people go crazy because they just don't like Chris Jericho, the person, right? Like and maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe they really just don't like his matches. But I feel like the whole Trump stuff and him doing conspiracy podcasts, which I happen to enjoy his conspiracy podcasts. I like weird stuff, right? We're going to get into a little bit that later. So none of that stuff bothers me, and he doesn't bother me. Like, the guy votes differently than me. I don't care. I think he's one of the all-time great performers that we've ever seen in wrestling, right? All-around performers. Like, he's had good matches. He's had 5-star matches recently, right? It hasn't been that long since he had his last 5-star match. Is he the same guy that he was 10 years ago? No, the guy's in his 50s, but he's still a great performer. And guess who he's wrestling? Will effing Ospreay.
Best wrestler on earth.
But you know what? I think that there's an argument to be made there, and I don't think it's a very good one, because I think it's like hands down, like it's got to be him right now. As far as in the ring, as far as match quality goes, I think that he is the most consistently great performer that we have seen in the last couple of years. Kenny Omega has slowed down a little bit, could still go. He's not going as often as he used to, but the guy's still capable. I think right now, and this is not going to pay off for Ospreay long term, but he is going at a rate where he's having consistently amazing matches, more so than anybody else right now. So, I mean, he is a tremendous performer. They're going to be in that stadium. Jericho is likely to be the babyface. You know, they're going to sing his song, and whatever people think about the song, I think it's one of the great wrestling entrance themes of all time. You know, it gets people going. They're singing it. They know every single word. I think it's a perfect wrestling theme for Chris Jericho. Don Callis is going to be involved. There's going to be a lot of gaga. I think they're going to tear the house down.
It's going to be fine. Right. And that's the thing is, like, I lean hard to the left. I don't care how Chris Jericho votes. I don't particularly care for some of the people that is on this podcast, so I don't listen to it. It's really that easy. Like, but I'm not going to make a value judgment on a human being or a performer based on some stuff that realistically doesn't matter all that much. Yeah. Right? It doesn't matter. And I know AEW fans want the Kenny Omega Will Ospreay rematch. That is a New Japan match. Wrestle Kingdom is going to get that match. I know this got put into the zeitgeist that AEW needs to make Will Ospreay in the way that WWF made Davey Boy Smith at SummerSlam 92. There's a couple problems with that. One, Will Ospreay does not work for All Elite Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I've said this for months. Why would you do this for a guy that doesn't work with you? Well, he might work with you. Yeah, well, he might not. He might stay at New Japan. He might go to WWE. That would be dumb. Mm-hmm. Let him have a big match. This is perfect. Like, oh, and by the way, that big Davey Boy Smith thing, he was out of the company 2.5 months later. So, didn't really make him that big. I mean, like, I don't see a problem with this. Is it the big work rate, gigantic, Kenny Omega style match we wanted? No, maybe probably not. But you know what? We got that. It already happened. You're going to get it again. Let it be special. Like, I don't know what Chris Jericho Will Ospreay would look like. I really don't. I'm kind of curious. Will Ospreay is not the guy who did matches with Ricochet anymore. The guy who does matches with Kenny Omega is pretty awesome. Let's see what he can do with Chris Jericho. That's different. That's intriguing. That's something that I never thought about. So,
yeah. I honestly, when I first heard about this, I was like, that's actually kind of brilliant. Because they're going to want to put over Ospreay in in the UK. I think that's a smart thing. I think if you're New Japan, you're going to want your guy in his hometown going over in front of that
Mhm.
big crowd. If you're going to give up a talent that's as important to them as Ospreay is, not that Ospreay can't lose because he can. I think on this show, if New Japan's going to give up one of the guys, they're going to want him to win,
Mhm.
and I think that's just good business. And if you're AEW, you got one of the all-time greats. You got Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho can right now he can lose more than he wins, and he always comes out great afterwards, right? I mean, the guy lost to fucking Action Andretti. He lost to Ricky Starks. He's lost a lot of matches this year, and the guy just stays over. He's bulletproof. So, and now they add Don Callis to the mix. They've already started to tell the story with Don Callis, and Callis has been recruiting Will Ospreay. I think this thing is going to work out great. I'm actually really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be fun. I think that I'm interested in what Chris Jericho and Don Callis are doing right now. It's a little more subtle than a lot of things going on in AEW at the moment. I don't quite know how it's going to play out, but Don Callis has been pretty great in everything he's done here. So yeah, I'm on board. I can't fester up the fake outrage for
Yeah.
all this, right?
Yeah.
I can't pretend that I'm mad at something that is going to be fine.
Yeah, it's going to be completely fine. If actually, I'm guessing it's going to be better than fine.
Yeah,
I feel like it's going to be really good.
I think so too.
What I